Hello and welcome to Centurion's Corner, and today we are going to be doing an upgrade of Boushh. She's a great figure that's just come out with the archive and stuff, but she just definitely needs a little bit of weathering on here just to really bring her up to that kind of really itty gritty sort of scratch part, and I think we can do quite a good job on her. And I've also got another Empire Strikes Back. I've had this actually for about a year now. It was on sort of clearance a little while back. And I want to make him into the Boushh kind of Chewbacca capture rather than that new one that's coming out. I think that new one just looks slightly odd with the sort of like really hard chain that's coming down. It's all moulded in. I just think it doesn't look right. So I'm actually going to use a Lego chain here. We're going to paint this up and make a new little collar for him, which is removable, and hopefully it will look pretty cool. Who knows? So I guess without further ado, let's crack on with it. So first of all, you want to remove all the accessories from Chewbacca, and we're going to paint his gun and the false pike lance for Boushh as well with the gunmetal X10. And I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that joined me on the live stream as I was filming this while I was painting, and also for this episode what you're watching right now. And I think I might make this kind of a membership kind of thing a little bit later on, where I would start taking photos of my current reviews, what I'm doing, and some behind the scenes stuff like that. So please join the channel down the bottom. It's only 99 cents. If you are in a place to do so, it'll be highly much appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe and ding that bell, and follow me on Instagram as well. All the support is very, very appreciated as well. So now grab your red brown. I actually started off with a wash over Chewbacca. Don't go over the dark parts, just go over the lighter parts of Chewbacca here. I did go a little bit later on and actually apply it a little bit more thick with the red brown over it, as it looks quite nice when it starts drying. It becomes a little bit thicker and a bit more darker, which gives a more resemblance of Chewbacca. So grabbing the gunmetal, we're just going to finish off Boushh here. So over the bandolier, wherever she's got the metal parts, you want to put all that as gunmetal. She's got a little kind of clip on her side of her belt, gunmetal also. She's got two little canisters at the front, and then she's got a canister at the back. Also her jetpack or backpack as well is gunmetal, but don't go over the top too much. Just kind of give it a little bit of dry brushing over it, so it gives that kind of look of metallic look over it as well. And yeah, it works a treat. She's also got two little discs on her ankles as well, so don't forget to make those gunmetal. And also the front of her mask as well is a bit of a gunmetal. So then we're going to grab dark sea grey as well, and that we're going to go around on the actual belt. Just kind of where the webbing of the belt is, it becomes that colour. See what you can do as well with the bandolier. You can try and get into the little details between the sort of like the metal parts as well, so it all looks like one fabric piece. Next up on this part, we're grabbing the bronze, and we're going to go over all the sort of like the shoulder armour, and also the top of her helmet is also that colour as well. Make sure you don't go over all the other paint details, but just add that extra bit of bronze there, and it really makes that armour pop out. So with the helmet part here, where we've got the gunmetal where you've done the nose bit on the end, just want to put a horizontal line through the centre of it. It gives it a little bit more depth with black. So now just putting a bit of weathering over the actual figure itself. I'm doing a bit of silver sort of chipping with a bit of dry brushing on this part, just over those silver bits, just to give it a little bit of sort of damage control. A little bit of weathering around on those chipped edges as well, where the armour's probably met some kind of type of floor or wall and stuff like that. So always the straight edges as well, and it gives it a bit more contour to the actual armour as well. Next up, we're just going to do some weathering techniques. You can use dry brush, you can use wet, you know, it's entirely up to you. I kind of went for a bit of dry brush, and to get into those little nitty bitty gritty areas I used a bit of black wash just to get in there, and I really sort of dirtied up the legs as well because the legs kind of need it. I did a bit of black and then I went over with a little bit of the red brown that we use on Chewbacca as well, just to give off that kind of dirt look. So pulling Chewbacca out now, over the sort of like the top area where it's kind of like that kind of grey colour on Chewbacca, I used dark sea grey, and I also used a little bit of brown mixed into it, and just a little bit of water as well, just to sort of really soak it into the fur. And I went over a little bit later on with a dark sea grey, a little bit more lighter than without the brown, just to give him that sort of grey look. Once that was dry, I then went over the top of that, even with more of a dry brush with the white, just to give him off that kind of grey look. Also I added flat black as well to his nose, just because it's kind of like a bluish colour and it just needs, it pops. You just put a little bit of black on that nose and it makes it stand out a hell of a lot more. So just be careful as you sort of layer in this part here. You can get a little bit carried away adding the white fur and stuff on there. But if you do feel like you've gone over it a little bit too much like I did, and I looked at the live and the camera really showed off the white and stuff on there, I actually went over the top with Chewbacca with a bit of a black wash just to dye down those sort of extra areas and stuff there, because he is quite grey in Return of the Jedi, but I just wanted to dye it down a little bit, and using a black wash, that's how I did so. So this bit I didn't actually record. I must have completely missed pressing record while I was doing the live. So I've made his collar out of the leather sort of leggings that were the same material that we used for the Kamara skirt for the clones. I'll show this how I've done it at the end of the video as well. And once that was done, I just sort of like measured it up around his neck, painted the Lego chain to a gunmetal with a little bit of silver chrome out highlights as well, and then I just clipped off the top of these little cocktail sticks using a little bit of glue and just putting them into place as well. Once they was done, I just painted them black and finished off with a bit of silver kind of dry brush on there just to give it off that kind of metal look, and then we have a removable collar there for Chewbacca. So back to Leia now. What I've done on this part here is actually with her, I took her to one side, just got a damp sponge and damped the kind of cape into like just a little bit wet, so it wasn't soaking or anything like that. I moulded it into a place where I wanted it to sort of hang, pull it on top of the radiator, and it stays in that position. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to weather it up. I actually got a bit of chrome silver on her top there, so I'm really going to have to go to town with the weathering to cover up that silver. And yeah, once it was done, I just literally got the knife, edged around the edge just to make it look more tatty, and it was pretty good. It did start losing shape, but if it does do that, then just simply just soak it a little bit more in water, put the shape back in, let it dry, and it should hold its shape. So here we are, all finished and done. We have finally weathered up Boushh, and we made a custom Chewbacca prisoner as well, so we don't have to wait for the 40th anniversary of the Return of the Jedi look. I just don't like the look of it. I just don't like that kind of sort of like sculpted in collar. It just looks a little bit weird in my opinion. So we haven't really used many colors here at all, just a few sort of nitty bitty ones, and I've tried to keep the same sort of colors throughout. So what we used on Chewbacca we used on Boushh as well, and likewise as well. So first of all then, I guess what we can go through, we used the gunmetal on here. So this is the X10, which we used on her gun part. We used on Chewbacca's bowcaster as well, and on this chain, and any other bits that are metallic as well. So we've got these extra little parts on there, but we take a closer look at those little itty bitty details as well that we've added. We also used brown as well with X33. This is the first time I've used bronze as well, not brown, it's bronze, and yeah, it's actually quite nice. I was kind of thought, oh, it looks a little bit too metallic-y and stuff, but just adding it on there, you can actually see it really sort of just adds that metallic look to that extra armor, because it isn't gunmetal, it's like a weird brown color. Other colours that we have used, so we have used dark sea grey. This is actually mainly for the webbing of her belt and stuff around on Princess Leia, and then the only other part that I've used on Leia, well, I suppose we have used chrome silver X11 as well. That's for all the other parts of silver, just to add on those extra little sort of parts of scrapes, dents, and sort of other parts around as well. And I've added it onto the chain and around on Chewbacca's collar as well. I used red, but we take a closer look at that, where I've put that, which is XF7 flat red. You don't really need it, it's just a very small minor detail that I've added on there, which we can have a look through as well. Flat black, again mainly used for the wash on the actual figures, to give them that kind of dirtiness on there. Use black on his spikes and the tiny little line that separates this sort of like breathing apparatus on her mask. We have used white, and that's basically for Chewbacca's hair, and then we have used red brown as a wash for dirt, and we also used it as brown for Chewbacca's fur as well. And then adding that, we have used that as well with the brown, to use this as a sort of like the slightly greying look on Chewbacca, and I think it's worked out quite nice, to be honest with you. So I kind of mishapped as I was doing the live. I kind of sort of like thought I was recording, but I hadn't. So this is the material that I've been using. This is what I use for the Kamara skirts, and this is also what I've used for his collar there. So it's nice and stretchy. It's actually $4.99. You can get these from Amazon, which is actually just a pair of like female leggings with the leather effect on there, and obviously you can just cut them up, and then you've got loads and loads of material there that you can use on your figures. So it's really nice and shiny on one side. The other side isn't, you know, it's got a nice sort of like under texture on there as well. So, and it's got a nice kind of weight to it, a nice drop, but also got the nice shine. So yeah, it's pretty good actually, a bit of material in there. So taking a closer look at the details, what we do, we look at Chewbacca first. We'll take his little chain off, and we can go into these bits here. So you can see that Chewbacca here is just more darker. I've actually got the original Chewbacca here on the side, which I haven't painted. So this is my original ESB Chewbacca, and just adding that extra kind of darkness to it, those extra kind of fur details and the white, it just makes him stand out massively. It's just that weird ginger look that they look on there. It almost looks like he's made of chocolate, you know, a bit like a Cadbury's flake. But yeah, so I'm really kind of pleased how this one's turned out. So the actual collar, we just used that small bit of that material around there, just using the knife, or you can use a pair of scissors, and just sort of like get into the around just enough that it's not so tight on him that we can actually pull this off. So if you just want a normal Chewbacca, we can do so by just pulling that off, and like so. And yeah, it's just a normal Chewbacca for Return of the Jedi, as we haven't actually got one yet. And we just lay him on this side, and then you can see that I've added just those little spikes and the stuff around on there. So just using glue, just dabbing them into a little pond of glue there, and just sort of sticking them on. And they're just used of a cocktail stick that we cut off the edge and then put on there. The Lego chain, I just like fed it through all the way down. You can still see that there's a stud on the end. She normally holds like quite a large ring, so what I would suggest, if you just didn't want this, you could always get a bit of an end of a key ring and just sort of like put the ring through it. But yeah, now we've got a nice little collar that Chewbacca can use, and you can take it off and off if you want, off and on and off. And then so taking a look at Boushh, which is mainly where most of the weathering's come into play. So for a weapon, we have just done it all in a gunmetal and then added over a bit of a light brush of silver chrome just to add those extra scratches and sort of dimensions and stuff on there. Actually, I thought there might be more detail on there, but it's actually really not. It's just literally just a big metal lance. Looking at the actual figure itself, so the helmet, we've got that bronze on there, so you can really see that kind of chrome look on there, making it look really metallic, and also on her top here. Dried brush on the edges and stuff just to give them off that kind of sort of like a scraped look. Added a little bit more silver on the side here, just to break up the helmet on the bronze. And yeah, even on the front, adding that black line through just adds that extra depth to the helmet. So the helmet now looks really nice. We've got those splodges of the black wash over the top of it. So coming down to here, we've got that bronze, we've got the silvers, as I said. This, you can just see on here, this is where I've added the red. She's got some sort of like kind of writing or some sort of like markers on this kind of chest box. So I've just added those on there, just very small details that you can see. This is all gunmetal, all the gunmetal all the way down on here. Also, these were originally gold and these need to be silver. These are sort of ammo pouch bits that goes through, and then added an extra bit of silvering over the top of the gunmetal as well, just to really give off that detail. The rest of the figure, I mean, we've done that extra grey, we've got gunmetal here. Around on the back, we've got some other canisters that we've done in gunmetal, and I've done the red brown as well on that little pouch. The thermal detonator is probably around somewhere. I would have just made it silver if I had it. As I started the live feed, it kind of fell off. I did find it again, and has since disappeared once again. So yeah, and the rest of the figure is all in a sort of like a dark wash with browns, blacks and stuff on there as well, and the gunmetal down on here. The main part for the figure really is literally this cape. So what I did, I got like a sponge and I just had it out and I just literally wet it as much as I could, but not soaking, and just pull it over with a nice fold down here, because it kind of sweeps around one side and hangs down the other with a nice fold down the back. Once it was in place, I just put it on the radiator and it kind of dried out in no time. And when we sort of silvered off this bit as well, not too much, we just wanted to still see those details pop through, and looking quite nice. And now she's kind of all a bit mucky on the back, and it kind of makes all the figure look kind of mucky as well, like, you know, she's on Tatooine, so she's going to be a bit mucky as well. I've added a bit of buff as well just around on the figure. It's a nice bit of colouring for the figure itself, which is this, and it's kind of a nice good Tatooine sand, if you like. And yeah, so now she's finished. Haven't done anything to the head, obviously. Underneath it's just still Princess Leia. Her face sculpt and stuff is fine for me. I suppose I could sort of like maybe put a matte coat over the top of it, or maybe the old figure could be done with a matte coat, but maybe that's for another time. But yeah, looking pretty cool. I mean, she definitely adds to it now. She looks more shelf worthy, and the Boushh that I've always wanted as well. And now with a matching Chewbacca. So the collection is now complete. So thank you so much. Don't forget to comment down below, subscribe, ding the bell, and let me know if you're going to try this at home as well, and what do you think. Let me know in the comments down below, and even send me pictures on Instagram if you do take this up. And I'll see you next time. Take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye.